from Glendale High School. Our Cable 6 high school basketball game of the week features the Kickapoo Chiefs against the Glendale Falcons. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rob Evans along with Don West, and tonight it's the first of what will be our weekly high school telecast here on Cable 6 as the Glendale Falcons and the Kickapoo Chiefs play. It's always a big ball game between these two Southside rivals. Falcons come in with a 7-4 record, but Don, they're coming in off of a loss in the finals of the Blue and Gold tournament, which is uncharacteristic of the Glendale Falcons.
Probably, you could say, the worst game of the year for Glendale. They do have 4 losses on the docket, but nonetheless, their game the other night was not too good against the Bolivar Liberators. Mike Keltner knows that. He wants his team to bounce back off of that. Meanwhile, the Kickapoo Chiefs are playing pretty well. They won the Warrensburg tournament in their most recent action, which was just before Christmas. They went to Warrensburg and won 3 games, including against the host team. So the Chiefs coming in with a 4-2 record. That's not very many games for January already. Kickapoo did not play over Christmas other than just before Christmas. And it's the first time in, about 14 or 15 years that Kickapoo has not played a tournament right after Christmas.
That's something we talked with Roy Green about during the Blue and Gold tournament, because he was more of a spectator at that tournament than he was anything else. And I said, what's the deal? How come you're not playing? He said, I think we could use the practice time, but one thing about it, I'm sure that his ball club is ready to face somebody in another color jersey, because they have been practicing and banging around on each other since before Christmas, and they're going to be anxious to face some people in a different colored uniform.
And hey, this is the Ozark Conference opener too, and it's January. It's time to get after it as far as the conference teams are concerned, and these two teams are starting it off with a bang here tonight in one of the biggest rivalries in the conference.
As for Glendale, they're coming off a year that they'd like to forget. They were 6-20 last year. That included just one conference win. They were 1-9 in the conference, while Kickapoo, on the other hand, had an outstanding year last year, and they went through the conference unbeaten.
Well, and they lost a lot off of that team, of course, and Roy has told us, had him on Sportsline just a week or two ago, and he told us about the attrition that the toll that graduation took last year, and it was a big toll. A lot of seniors and a lot of all-conference players from Kickapoo graduated, and just Brian George remains from last year's team as far as regulars and starters go. So it's a different look of Chiefs that we're seeing this year, but so far they've had some success.
Brian George is the one guy who is back off that ball club. They've got some talented players. One that everybody, I'm sure, is looking forward to seeing is a guy named Joey Crawford. Of course, he was the big rusher in football for the Chiefs. But one of the things that he's discovering is you got to play defense in basketball. He's a good offensive player, but that's one thing that Roy Green would like him to do, is work a little bit more on his defense.
Well, he has scored a lot. He's scored 20 points in at least 2 games so far this year, including the most recent action in Warrensburg. But you do have to play on the other end. Of course, Joey's a great athlete, and that's where it all starts. And he definitely has the room for improvement. He has the ability, at least, to really get better on both ends.
It's the Glendale Falcons and the Kickapoo Chiefs, and we'll be back with more when we continue live from Glendale right after this. Rob Evans, Don West, back at Glendale High School, where the Glendale Falcons and the Kickapoo Chiefs will be playing in just a couple of minutes. Glendale, as we mentioned, comes in 7-4, and we talked on before the break about the Kickapoo Chiefs. Glendale, on the other hand, is probably a ball club, I think, when you took a look at this junior class, which is where Mike Keltner has a majority of his players coming from right now, I think they expected to be a little bit further along than they are at this point.
Yeah, I think so. Really only one senior regular as far as the Falcons are concerned, and that's Ryan Moore. But, this class of juniors got a lot of experience 2 years ago, we remember, as freshmen, as varsity starting freshmen in some cases. But, I think that probably a little more was expected from this junior group. But hey, it's still young in the season, and it's still a long way to go.
Brian George, the Kickapoo player that we were talking about, coming back after off of last year's ball club. He's just making his first start of the year. This is also a Kickapoo ball club that has had some injuries.
Coming off of a dislocated kneecap, and doesn't that sound nice and comfortable? But his first game back was the Warrensburg game, which was Kickapoo's most recent, although it was way back before Christmas. And just his first start. So Roy may be just about to get his junior leader, as it were, up to speed now for the first time.
And that could be scary because this is a Chiefs ball club that, as we say, they've won 4, they've lost 2, and they're just really trying to get their legs underneath them, so to speak.
Well, there's a lot of new names and new faces on the Chiefs roster this year. Guys that didn't get a whole lot of playing time. You're talking about Mark Mayer and Chad Morris, who are going to be the guards. They did get a little time, but not much last year. Robbie Lee and Jason Hale are fairly new names to the Kickapoo program. So with those guys in the starting lineup, and then the likes of Joey Crawford, who, as we said, can score in the 20s, coming off the bench, that's another new Kickapoo name. We've become really used to the name already this year, I think, from football, but we'll see what he can do on the basketball court, too.
Yeah, we mentioned Glendale has predominantly a junior class ball club, and they're off to a 7-4 start this year. But, you know, we talked about how I think they expected them to be a little bit further along at this point. One of the things that they've had trouble doing, and that's winning here at home, which is very, very unlike Glendale ball clubs. I think they've lost something like 3 in a row at home this year. And I think at one point they had a string that had stretched, I want to say, close to 9 games that they'd lost here at home over the last couple of years. And they've also had trouble winning on television. That's something that they're wanting to correct here tonight.
A few years ago, it was Nate Quinn. He didn't want to see our cameras at his ball games, and now you can say that about Mike Keltner. Something like 9 losses in a row and games that we've covered. But when it gets to Ozark Conference time and these teams start to get to know each other a little bit better, anything's liable to happen. There's Mike Keltner with 233 wins under his belt at Glendale now against 114 losses. 13 years already for him here at Glendale and 14 for Roy Green out on the prairie.
That's hard to believe. I can remember, and I know you can too, back in the mid-'80s when both of those two gentlemen were experienced junior varsity coaches, just wondering when they were going to get their first shot at varsity play and varsity jobs. And Roy Green, who was an assistant here at Glendale, got his first chance when John Rotenberry left the coaching profession, still teaching here in Springfield, but he quit coaching the Chiefs. And Roy Green got the chance to go out there. And then Mike Keltner transferred to Glendale from Hillcrest that same year. And then when Jack Roberts retired, of course, Mike took over. And neither team has missed a beat. I know in the case of Glendale, Jack Roberts had a nice, outstanding tradition. And Mike Keltner has continued that with 233 career wins in this, his 13th season. It's Glendale against Kickapoo. And we'll be back when we continue with more live from Glendale right after this. Back at Glendale High School, Rob Evans, Don West, our first high school game of the week. The Glendale Falcons and the Kickapoo Chiefs. This is always an outstanding rivalry between these two schools on the south side. And it's really surprising you see this early in the year. Normally we get a little bit further into the season, but they've got the conference schedule worked around to where these two ball clubs will see each other right out of the gate. And, of course, we'll have the second meeting between these two teams from over at Kickapoo later on in the year.
Yeah, what we've usually seen is mid to late January with the first meeting, and then close to the end of the regular season, maybe the second week of February is when the rematch is. But great to have the early season matchup with these two conference powerhouses.
Glendale comes in. They have probably had more trouble putting points on the board, whereas Kickapoo, we talked about Joey Crawford. They get Brian George back. That's going to be a boost to their offense tonight, and they should be in a position where they might want to try to get the ball up and down the floor a little bit more.
Hey, that's nothing wrong with that when you're talking about some great athletes like we mentioned in Joey Crawford and the bunch that Roy Green's going to bring in.
And Glendale probably will be more in line with trying to keep control of the tempo, push it when they can, but by and large don't want to keep it in a half-court game.
Glendale really has to think about what went wrong Monday night, I think, too, Rob, and try to correct and avoid another disaster like they had happen to them in the Blue and Gold Final.
I think, well, let's put it this way. In watching their Saturday performance against Rogersville and their Monday performance against Bolivar, it was two different teams.
Sure.
If the Saturday team had shown up against Bolivar on Monday, they probably would have won the Blue and Gold Championship, but they didn't, and I think they need to get that intensity back. They played very well, I thought, on Saturday, and the effort just was not there in terms of getting something accomplished on Monday night, so that's what they need to try and get accomplished here this evening. If they don't give a better effort than they did Saturday, Kickapoo is the type of ball club that can really hurt them. Glendale and Kickapoo, and we'll be back with the start of the ball game when we continue right after this.
Don West and Rob Evans back at Glendale High School as the Falcons and the Chiefs gear up for this one. We've documented kind of what Glendale has done this year. Their 7-4 record. Kickapoo at 4-2. Our first look at the Chiefs this year. And Glendale's Kickapoo's the 2 losses. They started their season with a loss to West Plains, and there's not much shame in that. Their other loss was to Republic. They beat Springdale, Arkansas before going to Warrensburg for their tournament up there before Christmas. They beat Kansas City Ruskin 63-58 in the first round of that tournament. They beat Holden, a 2A school from up near Kansas City, 85-47 in the second round. And then in the finals, they beat the host Warrensburg Ball Club 66-58. Joey Crawford led the way for Kickapoo in scoring, at least, with 23 points in that game. As Roy Green looks on, as we said, not a usual thing for the Chiefs to be off just after Christmas, but I think Roy enjoyed being a spectator at the Blue and Gold this year and giving his team a little time to regroup.
Well, I think they not only had a little time to regroup, but they also had a lot of practice time, and that was more important to the Chiefs, I think, at that point. One thing I think they're going to be worried about right now, Don, is how they're going to play after such a long layoff. There's a difference between being in game shape and being in practice shape or anything else, and I think he'll be interested to see how his ball club comes out. I think he's thinking they're going to come out just fine.
Next week here on TCI 6, we'll have Central and Parkview as we continue Ozark Conference action. That'll be next Tuesday night, and it'll be on a tape delay basis. We had originally scheduled this game as live, but we've picked up some Missouri Tiger basketball that's going to be showing here on Channel 6, and we'll have the Tigers next Tuesday night live at 7, and then our Central Parkview broadcast at 9 o'clock next Tuesday as we get into the thick of the month of January. A little later on here, just about 2.5 weeks or so, we're going to have the Bass Pro Shops Tournament of Champions third and first place games. Kind of the highlight of the month of January, like Blue and Gold is in December.
Yeah, I think the season has a couple of guideposts along the way, so to speak. You've got the season starting early in January. You kick it off with some high school tournaments around the Thanksgiving weekend. Then you get to the Blue and Gold. That's the first guide marker. And then you get to the Tournament of Champions finals. And that's kind of the highlight of the month of January. And then you're into the stretch run where you take off and try to settle the conference races and get yourself ready for postseason play, the districts.
Starting lineups being introduced to this big crowd. It's really filled up here at Glendale here in just the last few minutes. The side we're sitting on, which is where the benches are, was pretty full at about 6:30, but the student side has just filled up to near capacity. Starting lineups, Kickapoo goes with Mark Mayer and Chad Morris at the guards, Brian George in the middle, Robbie Lee and Jason Hale are the forwards, and Glendale has Wes Pickering and John Jenkins at the guard spots. That's Blake Will, who will start at the center. Carter Clark and Corey Nybert are the forwards, and Mike Keltner shuffles the lineup around a little bit from Monday night.
He shuffles the lineup around, and right now he's using a combination. In the championship game of the Blue and Gold, he started predominantly his defensive lineup. He's got some guys who are not that good of offensive players, but they can play good defense. And he's got a couple of guys out there who we talked about, Joey Crawford. They like to play the offense, but have a little trouble on the defensive side, and he's using a combination of those people in the lineup tonight.
Blake will jump it up against Robbie Lee. Glendale in white, the Chiefs in gold. And the Falcons control the tap, and Corey Nybert up floor for Glendale. Kickapoo settles back in a zone look. John Jenkins. Carter Clark down to the corner. Back to Clark now from Nybert. Glendale's had the ball 30 seconds, and now The shot is taken by Nybert that won't go. Mark Mayer up floor for Kickapoo for the first time. Robert Burr and Anthony Tyndall are the officials. Steve Chadwick is the third official. There's George. Can't get it in, and a rebound foul on Jason Hale of Kickapoo. So nearly a minute gone, and not a point on the board as yet.
Only one shot, and that was for Glendale. And while Nybert had a good look from the inside the head of the key, he missed it badly.
Blake Will, the sophomore. There's Carter Clark. He puts it in. And the Falcons show a little pressure.
Chiefs so far had no trouble handling it.
Mark Mayer. Back to Morris. Chad Morris here, 10. Chiefs leading scorer, right around 13 points a game. Into Brian George. And the layup on the steal for Nybert. A 4-0 early lead for Glendale, and a travel now on Jason Hale. Gives the ball back to the Falcons.
And I think this is the way Glendale thought the game might start out, with the Chiefs being a little game rusty.
2 minutes gone. Blake Will away to John Jenkins. Will with a bounce, down low for Pickering. Wes Pickering. Well, 6-0 Glendale early. George will get a block. Falcon foul on Blake Will, the first called against Glendale. And here comes Joey Crawford for the first time. He'll be in for Jason Hale.
You don't realize when you take a look at him in a football uniform how big he is. Not necessarily in height. He's just a big young man.
Yes, sir. Morris back to Mayer to start over. Kickapoo just getting George back, as we said. He can't get it in, and Crawford fails to follow on the jam attempt. George. Yes. And we're going to get a foul. Count the basket for Brian George. And a Kickapoo foul after the ball was released. Fouls on Robbie Lee, his first, the team's second. Three minutes gone in the first quarter. Nybert, Pickering, and now John Jenkins. Falcons work the three-point line.
One thing about it, Don, if Kickapoo's going to stay in the zone, there's the shot. Jenkins is going to have to take it and hit it. Here, Pickering won. Pickering leaves it short.
Mayer the other way to Crawford on the run. No basket, no basket. And apparently he stepped out. Did he step out of bounds?
No.
Or did we get a foul? Glendale foul first.
Going to be on Corey Nybert. So Nybert with his first.
And the scorers bring Anthony Tyndall over to the table to make sure we're correct. There's Robert Burr.
He was very emphatic about the fact that the basket did not count.
Boy, Crawford gets the alley-oop off the inbounds pass. So 4 straight now for Kickapoo after Glendale scored the first 6. This is David Ross into the Falcon lineup as a guard, number 10. Midway point of quarter number 1. Crawford went for the ball but didn't get any of it, so the Chiefs will get it with a chance to tie.
And he didn't need to get it either because the ball was thrown completely out of bounds. Nybert had no chance to get it.
Mayer from the corner, the tip by Nybert. One-on-one with Crawford, and he has to save it in bounds. It's back to Mayer. On the other end, George couldn't get high enough and can't get the follow to go. And a foul on Nybert. That'll be his second.
It almost looked like Nybert got frustrated and just reached in to hack him, which was not a smart foul because, see, that's his second inside the first 4.5 minutes of the game. And I think Glendale, for them to be successful, they're going to need him out there tonight.
George never had his footing down on the lead into that break. And didn't get very high at all on that first try. Robbie Lee at the line. He had a 22-point game, 2 games back for the Chiefs against Holden in the Warrensburg tournament. One of 2 goes down. And up floor, David Ross fouled on the play by Joey Crawford.
Glendale got their 3 early baskets inside the first couple of minutes, and all of a sudden they're looking at a 3-minute scoreless streak now, and the Chiefs are right back in it.
Neil Stafford into the lineup for the Chiefs, junior 6-foot guard. And some trouble getting it in for Pickering, but now he gets it back. Ross up top. Down for Blake Will. And off to the wing for 3. It won't go for Clark. George up high for the board. And Morris for 3. Too strong, and there's George for the follow. The Chiefs lead 7-6 after being down 6-0. Side court inbounds pass. Blake Will floats it in.
Now, he's just a sophomore. He's going to be a good one. He got some playing time on the varsity as a freshman, and Glendale has high hopes for him.
Here is Crawford. Man, can he get up. Ross down floor in traffic against Mayer. And the lob intercepted by George. Crawford again. Oh, dumps it for George. Missed the reverse layup, though. And Blake Will has the answer on the other end. Under 2 minutes left, first quarter. Glendale with a couple of baskets to get back on top now as we get a Falcon foul on Chad Morris. Make it a Kickapoo foul, the 4th against the Chiefs.
Nope, you're right. I thought for a minute they were going to give it to Ross, but they give it to Pickering. He and David Ross had Morris sandwiched, and they ended up giving the foul to Glendale.
And Anthony Tyndall back to the table.
Glendale with their 4th team foul. Kickapoo has committed 3 so far in the ball game, and the foul was on Pickering, and that will be his first.
Well, for just a second, they had 10 on the board, and that would be Ross.
The board has 3. How many fouls do you have Kickapoo for? 3?
3, Crawford will bring it out to Stafford for 3 off the mark. I think what the confusion is at the table is the way Anthony Tyndall reports fouls. He brings his hand wide open, and it looks like a 5, and that may be confusing to the scorers. Minute 15 left in the first. Rob Will in for the Falcons, misses his first try. Glendale gets it back, and a foul. Mark Mayer. Now we should have 4 team fouls apiece.
You've got Kickapoo fouls on Mayer, Lee, Hale, and Crawford.
Under a minute to go in the first. Glendale up 10-7, and the 3 for Jenkins is good.
He is capable of hitting that shot all night long. It's just a matter of if he will.
Well, is this a game of streaks? 6 straight for Glendale to start the game, then 7 straight for Kickapoo, now 6 more straight for Glendale.
7 straight for Glendale. Fell behind 7-6, and then Jenkins hit the 3.
Exactly.
And Robbie Will with a nice steal.
And the Falcons perhaps looking for one last shot here. The first quarter clock at 15 seconds. Now down to 6, as you see. Pickering to the baseline, and he gets it in at the buzzer. After one quarter, 15-7, Glendale on top.
Rob Evans down west back at Glendale High School, where it's 15-7. And you talked about the game of runs, a 6-0 run to start it for Glendale, a 7-0 run for Kickapoo to take a 1-point lead. And now it is a 9-0 run for the Falcons to end the first quarter. As we start second quarter play, Robbie Lee misses a shot, and on the rebound attempt, we get a whistle foul.
Brian George climbs on the back for his first foul. No Chief has more than 1. Nybert got 2 early for Glendale.
Pickering will handle the basketball. He and Jenkins are at the guard spots now. They also have Ryan Moore, Jack Thomas on the floor, along with Rob Will. Will, from the elbow on the right side, missed it. Robbie Lee with the rebound. Mayer and Lee, along with George and Crawford, and Chad Morris on the floor for Kickapoo. The Chiefs turn it over, and Pickering went up to convert the layup. Glendale is hollering for goaltending, and to be honest with you folks, they should have gotten it.
Looked like one from what I saw, Rob.
Robert Burr is the guy who's catching the heat. He said no, he didn't think it was a goaltend, but I think from our angle here, they probably should have gotten it. Thomas with an air ball, but Pickering with the rebound to Jenkins. Moore spins in the lane on George. They tried to force a pass to Jenkins, and the ball stolen away. Crawford takes it to the other end and lays it in. Can't blame the little guys for not wanting to take a charge from him as Thomas tries to answer with a 3 ball that won't go. Ball is loose. And Lee stepped out of bounds with it.
Yeah, nice effort, but he was on the sideline.
6:36 to play in the first half. 15-9 Glendale. Neil Stafford comes back for the Chiefs, and Mark Mayer will sit down.
Falcons are still trying to get B.J. Houck back to full strength after he sprained his knee against Mountain Grove in the first round of the Blue and Gold.
Thomas went to the corner, and Will threw the ball out of bounds, so that'll be a Glendale turnover. And the Chiefs are in the middle of a run now. They've stopped Glendale's 9-0 string and have a chance to cut it to 4 with a basket. Stafford. George has it down on the block outside. He finds Stafford for 3. That makes it a 3-point game at 15-12. Glendale with the lead of the ball. Ryan Moore catches on the perimeter. Jenkins handles top of the circle. Will at the elbow. Crawford fleeces him of the ball. George picks it up. Stafford ahead to Morris on the left baseline, and we'll see Blake Will at the next break for Glendale as Brian George misses and then commits the foul on the follow, and that will be his second.
Yeah, he's got to stay off the back. That's something George is going to have to take care of. If you miss the shot, you can't just plow over the guy under you going after it.
Rob Will replaced by Blake Will. Corey Nybert is in, and Jack Thomas will sit down, I believe. And Torrey Jones is in.
44 for the Chiefs, a big man at 6'7".
I think you can understand why Roy Green's playing his own, even though Glendale has been able to do some things against it. Will and Jones are going at it down to the block. That's going to be a nice little battle. Jones wouldn't let him have position. Pickering to the foul line, into the lane. As he goes up, he has the ball knocked away, but Blake Will gets it back and scores. Blake has 6. 5-point game. Lee had the ball, lost it, and it went out of bounds. Last touch by Blake Will.
That stopped the 5-point Kickapoo run. So all points have come in runs of at least 5 to this point.
Yeah, Mark Bernson always used to say, and most coaches will say the same thing, that a good game will have spurts by both ball clubs. And so far, we've had a pretty good game, and both teams have been getting their points in spurts. Stoppage of play as Anthony Tyndall tends to some cleanup chores. 4:46 to go in the first half. It's 17-12 Glendale. Blake Will has 6. Wes Pickering with 4 for Glendale. Nybert, Carter Clark with 2. Jenkins hit a 3. Lee out of the deep left corner bangs it off the iron. The rebound to Crawford. His putback won't go. Torrey Jones with a follow. It won't fall. Crawford again tries it. Stafford picks it up, and he's bumped by Pickering at mid-floor. So Wes Pickering picks up his second foul.
Number 14, Wes Pickering, his first. Team foul number 5.
That's the 15th foul on Glendale. 4:25 to play here in the first half. Stafford with the basketball, brings it to Lee. They'll look at Jones low, but go out front, and Pickering comes up with a steal. He'll take the ball into the lane, and as he drops it off for Blake Will, he is fouled. So Pickering with a nice job. And the foul is on Morris. That will be his first. Wes Pickering, as we mentioned, has 4 points for the Falcons. Joey Crawford and Brian George with 4. Neil Stafford with a 3. And Robbie Lee has 1 for the Chiefs. And the free throw, the front end of a 1-and-1 is no good. Crawford with a rebound. He'll take it coast to coast. Split a triple team. Missed the shot. Jones with a putback. It's blocked by Nybert. And a foul on Nybert. That's his third, and he'll probably sit down for the rest of the half. Unless Mike Keltner wants to roll the bones, and he decides he doesn't. Jack Thomas will come back.
Glendale's deep enough that Mike doesn't need to take any kind of risk like that, but Nybert a bit out of control, getting his third foul.
Jones will go to the line at 6'7", and he'll roll the free throw in.
Some of these sequences, Rob, have looked like the games you see over on the outdoor courts at SMS of a night.
Second foul shot, no good. Rebound to Crawford underneath. Joey muscles it up and in. He has 6. You mean they're playing street ball?
That's what I mean.
But yet they're doing it in terms of patterns and things like that, you know, organized teams will use. Jenkins picks up the dribble and has trouble finding someone. Gets it to Blake Will with 3:40 to play. Jason Hale will check in at the next break for Kickapoo. Thomas holds it above his head. Pickering finds Blake Will. They play catch with it on the perimeter. So does Jenkins. He'll catch on the right side. Thomas on the baseline. Pickering penetrates into the traffic, tries a wraparound bounce pass to Carter Clark, and the ball goes out of bounds, and the Chiefs will have it with a chance to tie or take the lead. Lee sits down as Hale comes back.
Glendale's turned it over 6 times now. Too many for a quarter and a half.
Mayer finds Jones. He'll throw a rock up there that's too hard, no good. I know about those. I used to shoot those from that spot on the floor all the time.
Thought you were saying you knew about turnovers.
I used to do that quite a bit, too. Why do you think I'm here? Under 3 minutes to go. Jenkins with a bomb that's too hard. That one didn't even hit the rim. Stafford to Mayer, who will crank the 3. This one draws iron, and Thomas knocks it out of bounds, but he was pushed and fouled by Jason Hale. Hale with his second foul. And already I have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fouls on Kickapoo, 6 on Glendale, and Jack Thomas will go to the line. 2:42 left to play.
You are correct, sir.
Thank you. One of the few times I was able to count mine. If I can't add to 5 with my calculator, I'm in trouble. Thomas standing at the free throw line while they attend to Joey Crawford. And I believe we're going to get a timeout taken by Kickapoo so he can get a new jersey. He has a cut on his lip. That's the reason for the timeout as you take a look at him. 2:42 to go, first half. Glendale leads by 2, 17-15. And we'll be back right after this. Falcons lead by 2. An up-and-coming Chiefs Falcon as Jack Thomas steps to the line. That's probably the class of 2010, would you say?
Isn't there a movie about
that's 2001.
No.
Crawford having to repair to the locker room to make a change. Does so and reappears as Thomas hits the first foul shot. Glendale leads by 3 with 2:42 to go. They lead by 4 as Thomas hits them both.
We used to laugh at some of the patches you'd see on the letter jackets because they said 90, 1990.
Hey, I used to laugh at them when they said 77 and 78.
Yeah, I know.
Glendale by 4. Stafford bounces it back out front. The 3 ball is too hard, no good by Morris. Rebound to Kickapoo, and that floater from about 10 feet out by Mayer is good. 2-point game, 19-17, Glendale. Jenkins in jail. Finds Carter Clark, who gets it ahead to Pickering, and they beat the press of the Chiefs with 2 minutes to go. Glendale by a basket, 19-17, Pickering. Outside to Thomas. Jenkins head of the circle against what is a very tenacious zone, and it forces a turnover as Jenkins floated the bad pass. Driving in, Morris had it missed, and Jenkins made up for it with a nice defensive play on the other end. Feeds to Thomas. The ball is pinned against the board and then tipped in by Blake Will. Once again, another goaltend that possibly could have been called that wasn't this time against Jones. We got a whistle and a foul as Blake Will contends a pass to Chad Morris. And Rob Will is going to come in and take his place. Blake Will picking up his second. So Nybert has 3. Blake Will and Wes Pickering have 2 apiece for Glendale. Hale and George with 2 apiece for the Chiefs. And Jones is going to come out and Crawford will come back in with a minute 26 to play. Morris will be at the line to shoot. He'll get 1 plus the bonus. Free throw is in and out, no good. Rob Will with the rebound. Chiefs putting pressure on the guards now and extending the zone. And nobody coming into the middle until Will does. He feeds it down low. The shot is rejected by Jason Hale. They got that one to Carter Clark. Left of the circle, Crawford. Under a minute to play. 55 seconds to go in the half. Glendale by 4. Stafford finds Crawford in the lane. Pickering knocks it away. They go to the floor. Will and Crawford, we get a held ball, and the possession arrow will belong to the Chiefs.
Rob Will got the worst end of that because he had Joey Crawford right on top of it.
And Crawford went to the floor like it was a fumble and landed right on Will. Ryan McDonald is in for the Chiefs, and Jason Hale will sit down.
McDonald is 42. He is going to be a starter someday. He's coming off of a sprained ankle that he suffered in the Warrensburg tournament in the first round. Had knee surgery last year.
Crawford hangs in the air, has the shot altered, and missed it. Thomas with the rebound. Isn't that old for a high school player, 42?
Did I say he's 42?
Oh, that's the number he's
That's almost as old as Rob Evans. Ooh.
Tom Masters up there, too. I'm going to get somebody else. 21-17. How come he got mad and I didn't? I don't understand this. Glendale goes for the last shot as you see the clock wind down. Jenkins has it. They're putting some pressure on him. He'll pick up the dribble. He's in trouble. Almost pushed off. Pickering with 4. Thomas dribble drive in. Hangs. Scores with 1 second to go. Thomas with 4 and Glendale leads at halftime. It's the Falcons 23 and the Kickapoo Chiefs 17. We'll be back with our halftime recap when we continue right after this. Rob Evans, Don West back at Glendale High School where the Falcons have a 23-17 lead over the Kickapoo Chiefs. They're getting the kind of performance, Don, from their ball club that they got on Saturday night in their win against Rogersville in the blue and gold. And that is a game that they're playing with a little more intensity than they did Monday night.
A little more of a cold game, but it's also been kind of a sloppy game, Rob. And who's to say who that's going to favor on down the line? But it has been that way. A lot of second and third chance baskets on both ends. A lot of rebounds because of a lot of missed shots in this game, too.
One thing about it, you can tell that the Chiefs are having a little ring rust, if you will. They've been a little rusty, not having played since before Christmas, and I think it shows on the offensive end.
It really has, and like we say, the Chiefs got Joey Crawford involved a little bit, and that helped, although at times he was a little bit out of control, too. Brian George had some foul difficulties, and otherwise the scoring's kind of spread out for the Chiefs, not really more than a basket or two for anybody other than those two.
Well, Glendale led 15-7 at the first stop with Kickapoo's all of their 7 points in the first quarter coming in a 7-0 run after they fell behind 6-0. And then the Chiefs outscored Glendale 10-8 in the second quarter. Glendale leads 23-17 here at the half. You take a look at the scoring. Blake Will with 8. Jack Thomas, Wes Pickering with 4. Corey Nybert with 3 fouls in the first half. He has 2. Carter Clark has 2, and John Jenkins hit a 3-pointer in the first half. Joey Crawford with 6. Brian George with 4. Neil Stafford hit a 3. Mark Mayer with a basket. Robbie Lee and Torrey Jones with free throws in the ball game. You take a look at foul trouble. Nybert has 3. Pickering and Blake will have 2 for Glendale. Jason Hale and Brian George each with 2 for the Kickapoo Chiefs. We're at halftime. It's 23-17. Glendale with the lead. We're back right after this on Cable 6. It's 23-17. Glendale with the lead. At halftime, it was a 15-7 Falcon lead at the end of the first quarter, and the Chiefs with a 10-8 advantage in quarter number 2 to take the 23-17 halftime lead. We'll be coming back with basketball action here on Cable 6 on Tuesday night. This next Tuesday, our next high school game will be seen following the Colorado Buffaloes and the Missouri Tigers next Tuesday night. We'll have the Central Bulldogs at Parkview, and that'll be a tape-delayed telecast that will follow the Mizzou game right here on Cable 6. So next Tuesday night, we'll have a big night of basketball, a college-high school doubleheader for you right here on Cable 6, and we'll get our first look at the Parkview Vikings, and I'm kind of looking forward to that, Don, because I want to see Matt Miller play.
So do I. His senior year now, he's liable to set all kinds of scoring records and everything else for Parkview High School before it's all said and done. But our first look at the Vikings, and it'll be a fun one next Tuesday.
You take a look at him. He is averaging close to 26 points a game with a high of 42. So that'll be coming up on Tuesday night as Central faces Parkview. We'll be back with the start of the second half right after this. You take a look at the halftime numbers, and that probably tells you why Roy Green and the Chiefs coaching staff stayed in the locker room until right near the end. In fact, they're just now coming out on the floor, and they're going to have to put their original starters back out there. 7 of 28 from the floor, 2 of 5 from the free throw line, 1 of 7 from beyond the arc. Neither team lighting it up from 3. And look at the turnovers. You said early, Don, it was a sloppy game, 7-6.
10 of 20 looks pretty good on that graphic for Glendale from the field, but it has not been all that picturesque of a game.
The reason why I was saying that, and that's what I was getting ready to throw in, was the fact that Glendale has been getting a few shots inside. When they haven't shot the 3, I think they tried 6 of those, then they've been able to get the ball underneath, and that's why they've hit a little bit higher percentage.
Looks like they're giving the students a little extra time to get back in before we start the second half. They're gonna have a problem with kids on the floor if they don't give them a couple extra seconds to settle back into their. Well, most of them don't settle into their seats. They're up for most of the game over there on that far side.
He had a shot just a moment ago of the Glendale Brain Trust. Mike Keltner, Marty Marsh, excuse me.
Hard to keep those two names straight,
yeah,
isn't it?
Darren Cates and the other gentleman that was there, Tyler Ruhlman, former Glendale standout, who is going to be playing professionally in Australia a little bit later on this year, working as an assistant coach with Glendale.
He doesn't know this yet, but I'm going to try to grab him for a Sportsline show before he leaves.
Roy Green had a nice long visit with his ball club at halftime.
Here we go.
Glendale gets the ball.
Falcons up by 6, 23-17 as we start the second half, and here is a steal for Morris, and the layup is a direct result of great defense played at half court that forced that turnover.
And you could see Glendale kind of walk right into that trap, and it resulted in a basket. Their 8th turnover.
On the other end, Thomas hits the 3.
What do coaches say? Good shooting covers up a multitude of sins.
Well, that gets the answer plus one more as far as points are concerned. Falcons by 7 now after the miss, and here comes Glendale.
Joey Crawford can't buy a basket inside, even though he scored 6 points. He has not shot a good percentage.
Part of the 7 of 28 problems Kickapoo had shooting. So a minute deep third quarter. Glendale a 7-point lead in the ball. John Jenkins out front. There is Mark Mayer with him. Chiefs are going to look in. George has 2 fouls. He gets a test, and Glendale turns it over. Here comes Morris. Layup good. lead is 5 for the Falcons. Thomas again, hit one while ago and hits his second. That's a 2, though. That's a 2.
And his foot on the line.
28-21, Glendale. All the way, a charge on Morris.
Jack Thomas did a good job that time. Morris made up his mind real early, and Thomas knew it. I don't think Roy Green likes it, but folks, that was a good call.
Here is Jeremy Meyer in for the first time for Kickapoo, a junior at 6'2", wearing number 5.
Then again, coaches can agree with officials, but yet still work them in hopes they can get the next one.
Here comes Carter Clark, and he's fouled by George.
That'll be his third foul.
Good job, Steve. Foul number 34, Ron George.
Clark to the line for 2 throws.
At the line, Carter Clark, 2-2.
First one is down.
I think that term throws originated with somebody like me. When you throw that brick up there, throw that rock, that's the way I shot free throws. Carter Clark doing a little bit better job than I did.
And Ryan Moore is in for Glendale. We haven't seen a whole lot of him. Mike Keltner has changed his lineup several times during the season, his starting lineup, that is. George on the second try.
I think that's just an attempt to get a combination that will play well. He's just using different groups.
Jenkins got in a little trouble. Moore covered by Morris. That wasn't too far from a 5 count. And Blake Will stepped out of bounds. (30-23) Glendale. 5:20 and counting, quarter number 3. Ozark Conference opener for both schools. And Robert Burr has a Glendale foul.
It's going to be on Jack Thomas. He is, as you see, he's matching up, and that's a tough challenge for him because he's got Joey Crawford. He's done a pretty good job on him. Crawford has 6.
Hillcrest is at Central tonight, and Parkview is at Joplin in Ozark Conference openers. Ball swatted into the lane and taken out by Pickering. And we'll get a foul on Jeremy Meyer. More of a body foul than what you saw up top there.
They called it up top, but he hit him with the body more than anything. They'll make that call and just give you the indication that he hacked him across the arm, when in reality he plowed him with the body.
Mayer and George are back. Pickering will shoot a pair. All of his 4 points came in the first half. He led the Falcons in the blue and gold tournament with 42 points in 4 games. Carter Clark coming back in now.
Number 30, Carter Clark, checking in for Glendale.
Second one for Pickering is down. And the Falcons are up 8. Crawford got out of trouble. Back in now on the reach around foul on Blake Will. That'll be his third. Will and Nybert both with 3 personals now.
Not a good foul in that situation, because where Will was at in terms of his positioning, if he tries to knock the ball away, he's going to pick up a foul no matter what he does. I'm not saying that it's preferable to let Joey Crawford catch it down there, but where he was positioned, he can't reach in.
Rob replaces Blake, and the inbounds pass is stolen by Thomas, but turned back over as Pickering lost the handle on it.
I guess that was all part of the strategy, is let them inbound it and then pick off the pass.
So Kickapoo back now, down 31-23, 4.5 minutes left in the third. Stafford, and it's through the hands of Morris and into the student section.
Just curious as to what the turnover figure is now. It was, 7-6 at halftime, and it may be double that already here in the third quarter for both teams.
3 for the Chiefs and 4 for the Falcons. Here's another 3 for Thomas. His second tray, and he leads all scorers with 12. And timeout is taken by Roy Green and the Chiefs. 34-23, Glendale, middle of the third. Glendale has built the lead to double digits for the first time on the strength of Jack Thomas's shooting.
3 for 3 here in the quarter. He's hit all 3 Glendale shots that they've taken from the floor. 2 threes and a 2-point basket in which he had his foot on the line, and then their other point coming from the free throw line. I think I'd find a way to get Jack Thomas another shot or two here in the third.
Chiefs trying to regroup after the timeout. Couple of deflected passes, and Crawford dishes to George.
Those two get used to playing with each other, and they're going to be tough if they can continue to pass like that on the interior.
And there's a push-off foul on John Jenkins. Roy was campaigning for that late in the first half. You remember that on the other end?
That's why you get up and do that, because it planted the seed in Anthony Tyndall's mind, and that one was really kind of obvious. It was right in front, and he didn't make a lot of contact, didn't hit him hard, but he made the exaggerated push with that offhand, and you'll get called for that every time.
First foul on Jenkins. Chiefs try to put together a run, and it's Crawford to George again, and this time the foul as a result, and it's going to be on Jenkins, his second, and 2 free throws for Brian George.
Interesting that they hit Jenkins with that foul. He must have got him down low, because when the ball went up high, Rob Will swatted it away.
First one for George is good. Rob Will up high for the board, might have been on the back. 34-26. Glendale by 8 with possession.
There may have been somebody on the back, but they let Will clean him off himself.
There's Thomas. He goes into Rob. Will, and Crawford comes down on him, and Will timed the shot where he could get it in as well as draw the foul.
That time he showed good patience. A lot of times you'll get a guy up in the air, and you won't have enough patience as an offensive player. You'll go up too soon, and then you won't be able to convert the basket. He waited until the contact was there, but yet not enough to stop him, and then he went up strong and put it in the basket. Nice move by Rob Will.
Free throw off the mark and out of bounds for the Chiefs.
Unfortunately, we're shooting free throws like the blue and gold again.
Like we were the other night. And it wasn't.
It was in the third place games where we did. I don't think they made a free throw. Maybe 2 or 3 all night, it seemed like.
Yeah. Here comes Thomas for a block of a three-pointer now. And recovering, Stafford can't get it in. Put back up and in by Robbie Lee. Jack Thomas is playing a nice game. He wants it in the corner again. Here it comes. And there it goes.
He's got 9 points here in the third quarter. Has 15 now for the game as George tries it.
And he can't get it in from 12-foot range. Glendale trying to build its 11-point lead now. Somebody's going to have to come out on Thomas.
Well, they're getting out on him a little bit.
There comes Crawford now. Rob Will dumps it low, and it's through the hands of Clark and out of bounds.
Well, that wasn't a good pass because it was down around between his knees and his ankles, and you can't do anything with a pass down there except try to get your hands on it and knock it down. And Carter was unable to.
39-28. Glendale with the lead. The Falcons led 23-17 at halftime. That's a three for Mark Mayer. Lead back to 8. Glendale desperately trying to keep control of it, and finally they are able to. Third quarter clock, as you see. Jenkins misses the three. Kickapoo will get it. Team fouls are just 4 apiece. It looked a little like a travel. George with a second chance, and he's fouled down low.
Another case where Robbie Will got up and swatted the shot away, but Carter Clark got him low.
First foul on Clark with under a minute left in the third. 39-31, Falcons on top. George will shoot 2. And I believe we're looking for a towel for the ball this time. Right at the bottom of your picture as Robert Burr comes back into it. First of 2 for George, and he is up to 10. Chiefs will sub if this one goes down. 11 points for George. Ryan McDonald is back, and Chad Morris back in the lineup for the Chiefs. In the final minute of quarter number 3. Thomas again. Look out. Not this time. Morris pulls it down and takes it coast to coast and fills it up. It's a 4-point game. 39-35 Falcons. 30 seconds left in quarter number 3. And a double dribble called on Thomas. Brian George is back now. And the Chiefs have turned the tide. They were down 11 just a couple of minutes ago.
It was 39-28 at one point, I believe.
7 straight and counting if the Chiefs are able to cash in here at the end of the quarter. Clock down to 10. Knocked out of bounds. Chiefs ball with 8 to play in the quarter. You count it down with us now. Mayer into Stafford. And here's Morris for 3. Just clips the front of the rim, and that'll do it for 3 quarters. And the Chiefs right back in the ball game after trailing by 11. They've got it back to a 4-point game with 8 minutes to go.
Glendale leading at 39-35. It was an 18-16 quarter. Kickapoo knocking 2 off the lead. But what was remarkable about that, Don, was they had to end the quarter with a 7-0 run to get back to within 4.
They cut it from 11 to 4 pretty quickly, too. So don't count the Chiefs out by any stretch.
Crawford catches in the lane with a big drop step, missed it. George gets the rebound. Morris underneath to Crawford. And the basket is good. It's a 2-point game. Mayer with the entry pass. The foul is on Rob Will. That'll be his first foul. Blake will replace him with 7:38 left to play. And Crawford with his first points of the second half. He has 8. Still with 8 as the free throw rims in and out, but George gets the rebound and ties the game.
Oh, Glendale's got to get a rebound, Rob. They just lost that one, just juggled the ball, and there was George to pick it up, and you can't do that against a big rebounding team.
And an 11-0 run makes this a tie game with 7:20 left to go.
That's 11 straight for the Chiefs now.
Ryan Moore with the ball out front to Pickering. They go to Blake Will at the foul line. They double him up. He may have gotten away with the travel. Pickering with the ball outside to Jenkins. Pickering on a backdoor cut, drives into traffic and draws a foul from Brian George.
That's not straight up. Players will look at officials funny after that, but that wasn't even close to straight up. That'll get you a foul every time.
15 foul here in the second half, and Wes Pickering will go to the line. Free throw is good. Pickering has 6.
The 11-point run is over, but Glendale is still smarting from the Chiefs' ferocious comeback.
George will sit down with 4 fouls, and Lee comes back for Kickapoo. Pickering has 7 points total in the game. 41-39, the Falcons lead. Lee gives the Chiefs the lead. He has 6, and Kickapoo leads 42-41. And a foul. Joey Crawford gets hit with his 3rd.
First Kickapoo lead, Rob, since it was 7-6, and that's also, I believe, as we have it, the Chiefs' only lead to this game was when it was 7-6. Until now.
Well, they've had, it's been a 13-2 run that has given them the lead. Actually, I guess 14-2,
yeah.
So we'll see how the Falcons react, down by a point late. And we get a whistle and a foul as Stafford runs out at Ryan Moore, who really not much of a threat to shoot it from there. And I think that's what Roy Green was calling him over to counsel him for. Don't get out of control, which he did defensively.
That's 7 fouls on Kickapoo, 6 on Glendale, so we will be shooting free throws the rest of the way, and eventually we're going to get to 2. But not yet.
First one no good. Chiefs with a 1-point lead to the Rock. And they'll look for Crawford inside, but can't get it to him.
And who thought we would be saying that about 5 minutes ago on the clock?
Not the way Glendale was playing. It was Jack Thomas with the hot hand, and the Falcons built an 11-point lead, but they've let it all get away. They've got Nybert in the post trying to guard Joey Crawford.
Oh,
good. And a foul. Morris has 8 points. And Ryan Moore picks up his first foul. And Thomas and Carter Clark will come in, and Nybert and Moore will sit down.
You've heard of making a shot with someone hanging all over you? That's what Morris just did.
Hung all over him and gave him a shove for good measure. Free throw, no good. Thomas gets the rebound. 3-point lead for Kickapoo. Jenkins thought about the shot, gives it to Pickering. They play catch with the ball. Jenkins with the dribble. 5:20 to play in the game.
Crawford's keeping a real close eye on Thomas now. They're trying to free him up.
Well, whoever has him on the zone.
Yeah.
And now it's going to have to be Morris who comes out to get him.
They're paying some extra attention to Thomas. Now he's open, but there's no way to get the ball to it.
Well, there would have been if John had his head up. He was down, looking down as he dribbled, and for a moment he was open. Ron Will come in at the next break.
Could be a case that the well's running a little dry on Thomas now.
Well, they've got him out of the rhythm that he was in the third quarter. And it's the Chiefs now with a hot hand as Mayer hits the three. He has 8. Mike Keltner uses a timeout. The Falcons were up 11 with 4:23 to go. They're down 6 when we return. Second half alone, you want to know one of the reasons why the Chiefs have been able to get back in it. Not only that, but they've also started to hit the outside shot as well. They have outscored Glendale 19-2 since falling behind 31-28.
George has scored 9 in the second half, and Mayer and Lee have 3-pointers. And the Chiefs have really taken command.
And it's a 12-2 fourth quarter for the Chiefs so far. David Ross is in at the guard spot to see if Glendale can get something going, and Thomas loses the ball, and they're going to give it to Glendale. Anthony Tyndall didn't see it, and Robert Burr finally made the call from out here. They were each waiting to see who was going to make the call, and it was Robert Burr who gave it to the Falcons.
Well, Anthony didn't have it, so he went to his partner, and Robert gave him what he had.
Which is not well received by anybody on the Kickapoo side. Pickering at the elbow on the left side. He has 9, and it's a 4-point game, 47-43. 3:55 left to play. Whenever you talk about comebacks in this series, you got to think about the one Glendale made at Kickapoo was a couple years ago now, and they came from 10 points down in the last minute to win. So they're within 4 with 3:45 to go.
What I remember is I had to miss that game.
Crawford hits one from the baseline, but Robert Burr has a foul out front on Pickering. That'll be his third. At the foul line will be Chad Morris, who has 8 points. And the free throw barely draws iron. Corey Nybert has the rebound. Ross being doubled. Crawford,
good defense.
Almost had him tied up. Thomas at the high post. And he falls down and loses the ball.
Boy, it's hard to explain that one, isn't it?
His foot caught on the floor, and he slipped and fell. Brian George will come back, and Robbie Lee will sit down. That's all you can say about it. His shoe caught on the floor, and he fell down, or as they used to say to us, he tripped over that line.
Yep.
George at the high post, dumps it in for Crawford, and it's a bad pass, and Thomas intercepts. Glendale with a chance to cut it to 2 with a basket.
They can't panic and feel like they have to take a 3 or anything here. And they did.
Gets it inside, almost got it to fall, and Brian George may be gone as soon as he gets back.
And that's a big play to get George out of there for the Glendale Falcons. They have a chance to get 2 and cut it to 2. There's still a lot of time left, and the Chiefs have just lost one of their big weapons.
Though what they get back is a young man who has been starting for them for the last several weeks, actually the last 6 games until George was able to make it back tonight. Nybert with 2 points early on, and then he throws it too hard off the back of the rim. Still a 4-point game. 3:02 to play. That one rattles in. Clark comes in, and Thomas sits down. And Glendale is going to put some pressure on all over the floor, down 3. Stafford shreds the press like a Swiss cheese. Chiefs are going to back it out. And we'll get a block called. Carter Clark was not set. That'll be his second. Thomas will come back as Mike Keltner starts platooning. Nybert sits down. 2:43 to go, and Mayer will be at the line. He has 8. You look at the timeout situation. Chiefs have 2. The Falcons have 3. And with 2:43 to go, I would imagine that a couple of those might get burned here in the last couple of moments, depending on what happens out on the floor. Glendale with 3 timeouts remaining. Should they stay behind, they could still stop the clock and get their defense set. Points for Mayer. 4 points, the Chiefs lead. He's in double figures with 10, and it's 49-44. 2:40 left to play. Thomas with a 3 ball. It won't go. Will gets the rebound, and he is going to be fouled. I think that was the case that time, Don, of Will forcing the foul because Lee was kind of stationary, and then Will reached back behind him and bought the foul.
He was a little too far under the basket, and he fought his way back out far enough to entice that foul.
Free throw is good. Will with 3. Either team commits a foul and will be into the double bonus. Will gets 2 free throws. He has 4. 2.5 minutes to play. It's a 3-point game.
Free throws will go a long way toward getting the winner out of this one.
Stafford penetrating into the heart of the defense as the Chiefs go to the 4 corner. Or at least that's what they're wanting to do. This time, instead of shooting it, they kick the ball back out after penetrating, and Ross knocks it away. And the ball is out of bounds right below us. Nice hustle by the sophomore, David Ross.
Didn't look like the ball itself ever went out of bounds, but Ross was out when he was touching it.
Yeah, he went out when he touched it. Stafford gets by him, penetrates, but Ross pokes it away. Carter Clark gives it back to Ross at the foul line. They'll find Thomas for 3. They had a chance to tie, and Crawford gets the rebound.
That's the man you wanted to shoot it.
And that's an offensive foul. He did not exercise any discipline or patience that time. Took it all the way to the rack. You could tell it was coming. The defense was set. And Crawford picks up his 4th foul, and Roy Green's going to use his 3rd timeout. 1:40 left to play. It's Kickapoo 49, Glendale 46. Back right after this on Cable 6. Kickapoo by 3 with 1:40 to go, and Glendale will have the basketball after the charging foul on Joey Crawford, which was his 4th. They've already lost Brian George.
Still plenty of time for a 2 for Glendale if that's what they want, but I wouldn't mind trying Thomas one more time if they can free him up.
Down to a minute 15 as Pickering dumps it low for Will. The ball is loose, and Thomas comes out of there with it with a minute 10 to go. The 3, too hard for Nybert. Glendale with a rebound. Pickering with a minute left to play. They trail 49-46. They were up at one point, 39-28. And they let an 11-point lead get away. Fell behind by as much as 7, I want to say, at one point, or 6.
Glendale's going to have to do something. Now here's the 3.
And it's tied. Jenkins with a 3. Glendale uses the timeout with 41 seconds to go.
Nybert hits the 3 and then has the presence of mind to turn around and immediately call the timeout.
Was it Nybert who hit the 3? I thought it was Jenkins. We were kind of strained, both of us were, to see who it was. Doesn't matter because it's tied at 49 with 41 seconds to play, and Glendale uses the timeout to set the defense, and it was Nybert who hit the 3. So he has 6 as opposed to Jenkins, who would have had 6. And Mike Keltner, Roy Green talked to their ball clubs as to what they want to get accomplished.
Keep in mind, any foul either way is going to be 2 shots now. Glendale is at 9, so their next one puts Kickapoo in the double bonus, and the Chiefs already have Glendale there.
Timeouts. Glendale has 2 remaining. Kickapoo has 1 remaining. So Kickapoo with the ball. 41 seconds to go. Since they have been running the 4-corner, makes you wonder if they'll stay in it and try to go for the last shot and win it, or play for overtime if they miss.
Falcons didn't give up. They were down 5 and brought us back to 49 all deadlock.
And the ball knocked out of bounds. That was a poor pass, but it was knocked out by a Glendale defender. Well, are we destined for overtime? This game turned out to be a close one. And the Chiefs look like they're going to pull things out. And they'll stay with the spread.
They could take it down to about 10 or 12 and call time if Roy wants to, or they can take it all the way here.
That would be their last timeout with 15 seconds to go. I think they're going to go into and attack the basket. And he gets a clean pass to the basket, and nobody stopped Mayer with 5 seconds to go. And a foul has been called.
They've got a Glendale foul on the shot, Rob. The basket's good and 1 free throw.
And we couldn't tell who he put on the ball, gave the foul to.
Carter Clark, I guess.
If that's the case, that will be his 3rd. So not only did they let Mark Mayer just drive to the basket unstopped, they fouled him to boot.
If this is good, it'll take a 3 to tie on the other end. Obviously a Glendale timeout now.
13 points for Mayer. And Glendale calls time with 5 seconds to go, down 3.
Oh, what a game. What a game.
Yeah, and I think Glendale coaches are questioning how he could be handling the ball in mid-floor and then make his move around the guard and drive all the way to the basket with nobody stepping out to try and stop him. That's the one thing that's perplexing Glendale until after he was into the act of shooting, in which case he then got fouled on the layup attempt.
By then it was too late for Clark, and that's not what the Falcons had in mind.
And now it takes a 3 to tie, and I wouldn't be surprised if Glendale used back-to-back timeouts. They still have 1 remaining. Both teams have 1 left. A 3 will tie the game and send us to overtime, but there's only 5 seconds to go. That'll be Tuesday night. It'll be following Colorado and Missouri. On a tape-delayed basis, the Central Bulldogs will face the Parkview Vikings. We'll get a first look at Coach Shepard's ball club and his good senior guard, Man Miller.
I hope that one's as good as this one has been. Okay. Someone is going to have to take the three. They've got Thomas in there.
Nybert fires it up, but it's way short, and the game is over. So Kickapoo wins it 52-49.
Fans storm the floor. They got in a little trouble earlier for getting too close to the floor, but hey, let them have their fun.
They've earned it.
Bill, being a gamer, best in his day.
And Glendale's home streak continues as scored 7-10 in the fourth quarter. And that included leading 30-28 and one in the ballgame. Kickapoo Chiefs with a 52-49 win, and the winning streak in conference play, Don, continues.
They were 10-0 last year, and they start off on a good note this year. And again, we can say, who would have thought it would have come to this after Glendale led 39-28. And it was pretty late in the third quarter when they had that double-digit lead too, Rob. But the Chiefs hung with it, brought it back to 39 all, and then went ahead by as many as about 5. And then Glendale was not about to give up. They tied it back up, and what a finish.
So Glendale falls to 7-5, and Kickapoo improves to 5-2. Our final, it's the Chiefs 52 and the Glendale Falcons 4. For Don West and our entire crew, good night from Glendale.